Now let's move into the Monique and Lee Daniels. So over the weekend, we got to see Monique and Lee Daniels sort of pair their relationship, and which I thought was a really, really good thing. Considering that Monique has been, I don't know if you guys have realized this, but Monique has been on an incredible journey just to rehabilitate her own career herself. You know what I mean? She hasn't really had anyone to sort of um walk her through it, and most people you think will walk her through it is sort of not on her side. So she, they had shared this moment over this weekend, and let me just run this clip back for you all really, really quickly.
Long time to realize. I am so sorry for hurting you in any way that I did. Y'all, she was my best friend. My best friend. Y'all think that Precious was just, that was God working through both of us.
He got his Judy back.
We gonna fucking
He got his good girlfriend back.
I love you. I love you. I love you. Staten
Island.
We love.
So to me, he got his good Judy back. To me, it appeared that he got somebody back that he had really, really wanted to be in his corner for a long, long time. They were at the St. George's Theater. What was the St. George's Theater? So they were at the St. George's Theater, and he took it upon himself to extend this to her. Now, I thought it was a great moment. I think it's timely. I felt everybody was like, oh, 50 Cent was the catalyst for it. Once people saw 50 Cent endorsing her and saying he was going to put her in films, then everyone came on. Well, inserts T.S. Madison. So T.S. Madison reveals that her role in the Monique and Lee Daniels squashing their beef. So what we're finding out is that T.S. Madison, she hosted Monique. She had her on her show and they had a conversation. And of course, she talked about Lee Daniels. And we even mentioned it here about how she talked about the conversation from her and Tyler Perry. And then T.S. Madison goes on to leak a little bit of a video clip of an upcoming conversation that she's having with Lee Daniels.
Look, it's complicated. It's complicated. That's my little sister, and it's complicated.
Do you feel like that she's like really been saying this stuff, and she's coming from a real place of?
I think it's from her real place for sure.
Oh, it's from her real place.
It's from her real place, and I think that's a very valid place for her to come from. Like I feel very valid in my. I'm valid in my feelings and how I feel about Monique, and I love her. And we probably will be working together one day. We will probably work together one day. I'm sure of it.
She's brilliant.
She's one of the.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, don't nobody got nothing on that bitch. Nothing. And I can name all of them. Nobody. So she's one of a kind. And but it was what it was, and she feels the way she feels, and I feel the way I feel, and you fucking love us both. So,
I do. I love you both, and I told her. I said, listen. Monique.
This conversation that she's had with Lee Daniels was filmed before we saw what happened this weekend. And she's saying that the conversation that she had with Lee Daniels is really what preempted him to want to forgive and apologize. So let me share exactly what T.S. Madison is going on to say. So T.S. Madison says, I didn't do anything for credit. I did it because the universe laid the pieces of the puzzle together, and I love two people that are my friends. What I don't really care for is the underwhelming of the catalyst. Now, what's been happening on Twitter is ever since she released her little video clip of her interview with Lee Daniels, people are going on and bashing her, saying, you know, you're doing this, you're trying to get credit, you're trying to be relevant, you're in the limelight, you ain't have nothing to do with this, is because most people don't know the extent of the conversation that she had with Lee Daniels. So she's, you know, sort of defending herself. So she goes on to say, don't act like this was going on before February 16th, Pooh. And March 11th is when I taped the Lee interview. And he said to me he was going to make it right because he really watched that interview and it was deep. And so she goes on to say, y'all was all right when people were saying 50 Cent made this and that happened. But the tone changed as soon as I stated that no moves was made till after that woman sat down with me. And then I showed where I sat down with Lee in an upcoming interview. And now it's, so what, child? And I'm not even saying no. Good, thank you, T.S. Madison. We needed them being put together. Whether it was you pulling them together on two separate shows and having conversations that ignited them to come together, thank you for that. And whether it was 50 Cent putting it out into the public and garnering more public support for people just throwing their love and support behind her, thank you. I don't think we have to argue about who did it. As long as we got it done and we pulled them all together. And I think, you know, I think that should be celebrated more than, well, she's not involved. Clearly, T.S. Madison was involved. She had a conversation with this man on March 11th, filmed and taped. We still don't know what came out of that. She says that he said he's going to make it right. Who knows that this was his moment before this came out? So I feel like we need to allow people to live, let her have her moment. Like, God damn, I'm only speaking for myself, because had it been me in her shoes where I interviewed two people who then came together, I'll be pissed people were trying to put me down for that. So I saw that and I was like, oh, wow. So I'm looking forward to that coming out. I don't know if it's coming out this week or next week, but I'm looking forward to her interview with Lee Daniels and really what he had to say about the entire situation. Hakeem ain't fuck Leslie. Yeah. Good morning, TC. Good morning. Yes, a definite buzz movie. Baby, I saw this and was like, who did what now? I need to know what he said. Okay, good morning. Good morning, Stacy. Good morning to you. Thank you for being here. Lee Daniels, I am wondering why now that he wants to make up with her after all these years. All of a sudden, what's the real tea? But hey, happy for her, for real. Which is why, Shay, I even say it's so important for us to hear this interview from T.S. Madison and Lee Daniels. Maybe he said something in there that might answer that question. Maybe he was like, you know, I did something wrong, or maybe he admits something. I think it gives us more perspective as to why he felt like he was inclined to do that. Now, they go on to say that Demon House follows a multiple he's casted her in his upcoming movie Demon House, and Demon House follows multiple exorcisms that played Latoya Ammons and her three children in Gary, Indiana around 2011. Monique is set to play a social worker who assists the family through the exorcisms. The cast is rounded by Andre Day, Glenn Close, Rob Morgan, Caleb McLaughlin, and On Hand Ellis. So they're definitely back working together. And so I think it's a win-win, you know, whether it was a good thing or a bad thing. It took too long. I think she had enough time to air all her grievances and say all the shit she wanted to say about Lee, Tyler, and Oprah. I feel like now, I mean, what else more would she have to say? You know, now if the ball was in their court. So if it was a underhanded, sneaky apology on his part, well, so be it. I bet you now, though, anytime he worked with her, that bag gonna be cleared. That check gonna be good. I bet you that. I know that for one fact, for certain, we know that if Monique is working with a Tyler, a Oprah, or a Lee, her check is gonna be good. And I think that's all she wanted to really, at the end of the day, fix my bag, get me out of this mess. And him endorsing her and moving forward with her, I think that's a way for him to do that. That's an extension. I mean, what else we gonna get from Lee? Like, be honest with you, he ain't gonna really give any more. It ain't over. Sydney, aka her daddy. Oh boy. Please, Sydney, you know when he get in there, when he's going to do great. If daddy is just a husband, she needs a PR team that cares about her public image. So he lost Jussie and picked Monique back up, pretty much. And I ain't gonna say he lost Jussie. I'll just say he keeping Jussie in the closet. How you let the world and industry people fry your friend like that? I mean, that was heavy. I'm sure they had to have a deep conversation to take pictures like that, and for him to be prancing on stage with his pants hanging like that, looking like a whole airport handler, just waving a flag. I'm sitting here looking like, oh, okay, this is how you come to, this is what you give in when you step out in public. All right. Please hit the like button on your way out. Thank you so much for coming through. I'm about to get my day started. As always, choose positivity first, then violence. Positivity first, then violence. Deuces.